Okay, so this most recent episode of Legion was much better than the last two episodes that we watched. I left this episode with a feeling of being confused, as I feel like you should when you watch this entire series. I kind of like that Tadami, we get a little bit more explanation on him and being in the mainframe, how he can kind of see what Baskethead sees, or at least that's the feeling that I get. He found somebody on the ground who kind of reached out to him, touched his hand, and then he got to see all this stuff. And not necessarily who it is, unless it is Baskethead, because it's very, I guess, left open that we see this kid, and this kid never, he's talking to this other guy, and he never gets sick, and he kind of heals himself. Okay, cool. Awesome. You were a mutant. Fantastic. So we kind of see this, and then he's strapped in this bed, or he's in this bed, in this hospital bed, and he's got things coming out of his head, and this nurse lady's reading a book to him. Okay, fine. Or a story, or whatever it is. Well, we see that, so that perhaps could have been the guy that touched Tadami's hand. I don't know. It's a little unclear to me. But the fact that Tadami figured out that he can control the Vermilion is actually kind of brilliant. Hey, and then, the Vermilion talks to David and is like, I know where Farouk's body is. And David's like, wait, what? Oh, you are, you think you are, you are, you say you are. It would have been kind of funny. It did cut on the commercial when, the Vermilion, controlled by Tadami, is talking to David, that says, become one of us, I think, or work with us, something like that, and then it cuts to commercial. I think it would have been funnier, I know they're probably not going for funny, but it would have been more interesting for the Vermilion to kind of snap out of it and be like, wait, I need to get up now. I don't know why I'm talking to you. Get back to work. Something. Because it would have been like, kind of an unknown how that happened. Anyway, so David, pretty much going after Farouk's body. Okay, fine. He goes in the desert of sorts, and of course Sid shows up later, randomly. How do you just all of a sudden find out where he is? Like, I get it, like, you have your little, like, compass thing that always points to him, but you're in the middle of the desert, and you come down on a parachute. Okay, anyway. So David going and kind of figuring out that the home of Farouk's body moves. And, he's walking and walking and walking and walking, and you'd think he'd be like, wait, I feel like I'm going in circles. But he's not, as you can see. I like the actual editing aspect of those scenes, and the fact that they're kind of like, they go over one another, and it's so cool, and it was very visually appealing, and I love that. So yay. Good job. You've earned a redemption from the past two episodes of Chit Chat. And then, so David, jumping back a little bit, David he's talking to Lenny, and Lenny is getting serious and says, am I real? And he's like, yes, you're real. And they pause for a minute, and they're about that close, and in my mind I'm like, okay, are you gonna kiss? Because, why the hell not? Lenny is obviously not interested in, Lenny as Benny was not interested in David. And then, of course, acting as his sister, they're obviously not gonna, kiss. So, whatever. So he leans over and he kisses her forehead. Okay, fine, cool. And says, I will protect you, or I will, nothing bad will happen to you. Whatever. Well, we see in the trailer that Lenny gets a gun and is essentially talking to Amy and says, oh, you have not seen me been unleashed before. Like, she's about to get real. So that's something to look forward to. And then, of course, so we also have David finding Clark and Guy Carey, and, you know, essentially like snaps his fingers and is telling them his plan, more or less. However, in the trailer for next episode, Guy Carey is essentially confused because he doesn't know why David is putting all these things in his head. Well, I think it's a little bit because he can't speak the words, think the words. He's just gotta, you know, use his powers and say, this is the plan. You need to figure it out and you need to get here because I can't tell you. So that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. And then let's see, Melanie, oh my God, that girl, that lady is, well, now that she's becoming a bad guy, thank you, Oliver, she obviously got a little bit forgot about. So, you know, Clark is coming down the hallway. He kind of wakes up and he's like, oh, I have to do something. I have to do this. And he wakes up, he walks down the hall, and Melanie comes out and you know, hits him. So he gets knocked out. And then it does like a rewind where Oliver is getting inside Melanie's head. And then Oliver tells Farouk, we got her on our side. So that's kind of, I like the, kind of, not the backtrack, but like the way it's like, wait, what's happening? Oh, she's just not jealous. She is actually being controlled by someone else. And let's see, what else? Oh, okay, so we have these chit chats, or not these chit chats. What are they called? The like the voiceovers with just the B-roll of sorts. So this one made me kind of giggle and realize that it's very much real. I mean, obviously, all these delusions and the significance and explanations and whatever are real. But this one is the fact that they're saying, you know, okay, everybody lives in a cave. Okay, I get it. I can roll with this. And then you say, well, you're out of the cave, but you're in your own little world, i.e. smartphone. And then everybody's walking around with their smartphones in this scene, and it amuses me because as a side note, I am amused by people who can't just watch, who can't just not look at their phone. Like, I get it. You're very connected. You're very connected. You believe what people say. Whatever it is. I should just take that B-roll clip off that and throw it on here and say, don't do this. This is your PSA. Don't do this, because you're dumb. So, you know, you have everybody walking around with their smartphones, and when you're not walking around with a smartphone and you're looking around, you're like, what is happening? Like, you legit almost can't comprehend that you're the only one not doing it. When I went to dinner earlier this week, speaking of, I was looking around, I'm having a conversation, and I happen to just look around the space that I'm sitting in, and groups of people are sitting together on their phones. There's something wrong with that. Just saying. So anyway, back to the episode. I like that this one definitely earned its redemption, as I said, and looking forward to continuing on this crazy, confusing trip. So they're in the tent. David and Sid are in the tent. I forgot the tent. So they come in the tent, and they turn on the lantern, and they go over to this bed, and it looks like the two of them have died, spooning, essentially, and are cuddling, and David says, that's us. And then it almost rewinds to them walking in again. So they're now in this almost time loop. I expected them to do it just a couple times before they realized, oh snap, we should not be in here. So they were, they're not in this time loop, I guess, but it's just kind of like almost, wait, and then, oh. So, whatever. But there's a lightning storm happening, and they're inside, and of course this entire scene is super dark, and that drives me insane, but that's besides the point. That's, the producer's, director's prerogative, I believe. So, you know, they're in this tent and they're talking, and, you know, David is saying, hey, when we get out of here, we're going to get a house in the country. Okay, they're having happy-go-lucky romance, fine. Well, I want to know how they either become dead or how they get out. Obviously, it's nighttime and it's storming, so they should not be out in the open, but it's also like, wait a minute. Why is there a tent? Oh, for whatever reason, you know, Sid and David, they got a tent and they made a tent and then they died and then they found themselves in the future? Like, what? So, that's fun. So that's going to be an ever-ending loop, I'm sure. Ever-ending loop. If you think about it, how it became is just there, just in the desert. I think it's a trap. I really think it's a trap, in the fact that it's not, hey, this is what's going to happen to us. That's what we look like, so we're going to play with it, and this is what could happen to you. So you're going to die here. Congratulations. And Farouk, you know, saying to the driver or whatever, faster, faster, Rome is there, my love. And then it ends on a zoom of what looks like Basket Head. When we got to see what he looks like on the inside, he's this monster form of sorts. Or, well, okay, I take it back. At first I thought it was Basket Head, but it could be somebody else with like a weird skull thing on the head. So that's why I was confused when this episode ended, because I'm like, wait, who's that? Isn't that, no, I guess it's not, but why, what, who, where are you? All the questions. So I'm very excited that this is getting back on the let's confuse everybody bandwagon, and not just, here's a backstory, here's some filler, here's what happened, and this is boring, and no. We actually got some shit going on here, and yes, okay, fine, I admit I am easily amused by the visualization of the scenes going as they're doing when they're in the desert, but aside from that, it was actually, you know, I get it, this is cool. So, that being said, excited, as usual, rambling as usual, and I guess that's it. I'm glad this is better than the last two episodes. Much more exciting.